So yesterday, Dan Orlovsky was on the Pat McAfee show, and he shared his thoughts on Jordan Love, so I want to share those real quick. If you are new here, I put out Packers content nearly every day, so feel free to subscribe. I also have a second NFL channel where I break down other things on the NFL throughout the week, which will be linked at the top of the description. So here is the audio from Dan Orlovsky and his current thoughts on Jordan Love, then I'll give my thoughts on what he had to say.
Yeah, I think what Dobbs and Kevin O'Connell done in Minnesota is unbelievable. O'Connell, I think Josh's ability to time his feet in that offense is big. So Jordan Love, there are moments when he makes great throws. The ball down to Musgrave, middle of the field, obviously the late one on the deep crosser. There's moments when he makes great throws. There's not enough good throws. And the good throws are sometimes like the layups that are just part of that offense, the layups that Matt LaFleur calls into the game plan or into the game, and they're there. And sometimes they become completions, but instead of it being a 12 or 15 yard gain, it's like a 5 or 6 yard gain because the ball placement forces the guy to adjust his body to make a catch, or it's a more difficult catch. And you sit there and go, it's a completion, but it's not a good throw. And so there are moments of great throws. And hear me out when I say this. I think, one, the pass pro struggles have thrown the timing off of their pass game. And so now it feels like with Jordan, it's get the ball out now or like move around in the pocket and try to create something. And that's a bad place to be for a guy who's playing for the first time. It reminds me a little bit like, I'm not making this lateral comparison. It reminds me a little bit like Lamar's first year starting as a passer, where some of like the really easy throws he didn't make, and the way that you want them to. Like, hey man, it's a spot route, and if you just throw the ball on the chest of the guy and the inside shoulder, he's going to get 8 yards. But you throw it low and away, and he gets 3.
All right, so I agree with lots of what Dan Orlovsky had to say there, and I found some stats to basically back up what he was saying. And one area where the past 2 weeks, as we've talked about on this channel, if you've been watching the videos, Jordan Love has been a lot better the past 2 weeks when it comes to his deep ball accuracy, which was an issue the games to start the season. But here I want to show you his behind the line of scrimmage throws, short throws, and intermediate throws, and his adjusted completion percentage per PFF. And that basically just takes into account any pass that Jordan Love throws that is on target where it needs to be. It sort of takes away drops and things like that, so it gives you a clear idea of how accurate the quarterback has been. And so let me show you these stats to give an idea of this. So this is so far through the season. Behind line of scrimmage, adjusted completion percentage, 33rd in the NFL at 90.6%. Not great. Short, 0 to 9 yards, 33rd, 80.6%. Intermediate, 10 to 19 yards, 34th, 51.4%. And then his best area, when you compare it here, deep balls, at least ranking, which are 20-plus yard throws, 24th in the NFL at 37%. So just looking at those stats, it's clear that right now, Jordan Love is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL. That's just sort of what the numbers show. Now let's look at the past 2 weeks because he has gotten better when it comes to his deep balls. I was curious his adjusted completion percentage for the shorter throws. So behind line of scrimmage the past 2 weeks, 26th in the NFL at 92.9%. And in the past 2 weeks, 24 quarterbacks had a 100% adjusted completion percentage. Short, 0 to 9, 26th, 78.9%. Intermediate, 10 to 19, 16th, 64.3%. And then deep balls, 20-plus yards, 7th at 63.6%. So basically the same when it comes to behind the line of scrimmage and the short passes, which I think what Dan Orlovsky was saying there was there's not enough good throws. He was talking about the easy throws where maybe a guy's open, he just sort of misplaces it where the guy catches it, falls down. One that comes to my mind is the Dontavian Wicks fumble. He was wide open. If Love would have placed the ball accurately a couple weeks ago, probably wouldn't have been a tough move for Wicks. Probably wouldn't have fumbled the ball. And so that definitely is an area of concern. And while on the one hand, I love seeing the fact that Jordan Love is, at least the past couple weeks, dialing in his deep balls. And those are sort of the things that, you want to see from a quarterback who can make those crazy great plays. And now I think the next step for Jordan Love is, can he make the easy throws consistently and not be inaccurate on those throws that he really needs to get down and dial down as we move forward. And so I guess the question is, can he improve in that area? And if he doesn't, but let's say he still throws the deep ball better, is that enough for him to be the quarterback of the future here in Green Bay for the next, 5 to 10 years, which obviously that would be the best case scenario. And so also too, to note, Dan Orlovsky compares it, or he said he's not making the comparison, but he compares him to Lamar Jackson in the first year and how Lamar was inaccurate in some of those easy throws. And so I guess we just have to wait and see if Love can improve in that area. You'd assume he's working his hardest to try to do that. And obviously, if he can fix that, then clearly that would be a great sign in the right direction. And just as, I showed yesterday with James Jones talking about we need to see that consistency, which is clearly something the Packers want to see going forward. But as I've said, I still think the Packers, based on what Love has done the past few weeks, and honestly the whole season, I think they're going to be patient and give Love next season. It is still a very, very young receiver core. And I think after an entire year with all these guys going into next season, we'll have an even better idea of what these guys can do going forward. And I don't think the Packers are panicking right now, in my opinion. I think that they thought that this could be a possibility where the Packers would struggle this season. And I think they're willing to wait it out with Jordan Love and sort of see what he can do going forward. And obviously the rest of the season is going to be pretty crucial to figure out what Jordan Love may be in the future. And the Packers are going to obviously take a good hard look at that and try to plan their future accordingly. But I still think regardless, they're going to give him next season, in my opinion, unless things just go drastically terrible and it's obvious that he's not the guy. But that's all for this one. If you want more Packers content like this, feel free to subscribe. Also, my NFL channel is linked down below. I just broke down the Browns situation with Deshaun Watson being injured and can they still make the playoffs. So if you want to watch that video, feel free to click the link in the description down below and subscribe. But that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.